Welcome to New Hampshire's Business. I'm Fred Coker. I've been curious, along with New Hampshire business owners, why more New Hampshire residents aren't going to work at a time when most New Hampshire businesses need more employees. This is called employment participation rate by economists. And one of the New Hampshire's premier economists has come up with some of the key reasons why some folks are staying home. And it's not just remote work. That economist is Brian Gottlieb, director of the New Hampshire Labor and Market Information Bureau at the Department of Employment Security, who is here in the studio with me. Welcome, Brian.
Great to be here.
Nice to have you here. Let's go to the New Hampshire unemployment rate. Its first number is up, and you can see for September and October, there is a difference in 0.1%. But that gives you an idea where we sit. Now, let's get into the meat of this interview. You have reported that total employment in New Hampshire has surpassed the pre-pandemic level, but several business sectors here in 2023 are below their employment level of 2020, such as retail, healthcare, and even state and local government. How do you explain that?
Sure. Well, I think it has to do with the opportunities, one, that people have in the labor force, so they're choosing to move to jobs or industries that they feel most comfortable with. Yep. Some industries have become relatively less attractive. Give one example. The hospital sector, healthcare, yep. Very difficult coming out of the pandemic. During the pandemic, very stressful job. So one of the things we've seen is people moving out of that industry, even if they're keeping the same occupation. Right. A nurse could be working in a hospital, instead has maybe moved to one of the healthcare sectors in a Walmart or a Target. So they're moving to different industries.
And here's a labor force participation graph that you guys created, your team created. Labor force and labor for participation in New Hampshire. It shows the statewide participation problem.
Yeah, part of that is, or a large part of that, Fred, is demographics. We have more people who are entering age groups that have lower participation rates, primarily people over the age of 55, begin to reduce their labor force participation. If we have more of those people entering that age group, yep. Participation declines.
Yep. And what's most interesting are the reasons why people aren't working in this graph, and let's put that up on the screen. The orange bar of 2022 surpasses the blue bar of 2019 in every category. Despite the reasons given, do you think remote work is at work somewhere in that graph, even though it doesn't say so?
I think remote work is playing a role. I think it's probably playing a role more for younger workers who are doing different things to earn money that may not be kind of the traditional jobs, the W-2 jobs, working for a company. They may be putting videos online and making money from it. The other thing that's clear in this graphic is that we have more people in that 55 plus age group, and that means we're going to have more people in retirement age, and that's affecting participation.
Yeah, I would think the older age group, since we're the second oldest state in the country, that may be skewing the numbers. So you're focusing on numbers below retirement.
Right. 25 to 54 is what's considered the prime working age group, Fred, and we really want to know what's happening there, because that is a group that has also cut their participation. So we want to understand what's happening there.
Finally, job participation by gender, and let's take a look at this graph. And you can see the purple line is women, the orange line is men. Brian, both lines are going down.
Yeah, both are about 2.6% or so below where they were prior to the pandemic. Yeah. Women traditionally have lower labor force participation rates. They're primary caregivers, typically in a family, so for children or if they're taking care of other family members, they generally have lower participation rates. Everybody dropped post-pandemic. What we haven't seen is coming back significantly, and that's a little bit different, Fred, than the national average, because nationally it has been bouncing back.
Very briefly, do you think there's a structural change taking place in our labor force?
I do think there's a structural change. I think it's primarily happening among younger workers. There are more ways in which younger workers can earn money, and a lot of those ways do not involve traditional W-2 employment for employers, and that's a problem for a lot of industries that hire younger workers.
Thank you. Brian Golub, who is Director of the Labor and Market Information Bureau at the Department of Employment Security here in New Hampshire. Thank you.
Thanks, Fred.
Nice to have you. And if you missed part of this briefing on labor force participation, which is at issue, you can go to WMUR.com, where it'll be posted all this week.